Hi guys, and welcome to today's video, and I'm doing something slightly different today because I'm unboxing my new iPhone 8 Plus. I know that this phone came out like last September, but I basically recently just got it and I thought that I would show you kind of my thoughts, my initial feelings. I've upgraded from the iPhone 6s Plus, so I'm basically going to compare it to that. And yeah, I know it's something slightly different for my channel, but I really have like a real enthusiasm for phones. I used to work in a phone shop, and kind of from there it's this kind of like weird interest in phones really has started, and I just kind of wanted to share my thoughts and opinions on the phone with you. And yeah, so if you guys are curious to see what I think of the iPhone 8 Plus and my initial thoughts and unboxing it, do keep on watching. If you enjoy this video, give it a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe, and let's crack on. The first thing you get is obviously the box. Mine arrived and I feel like it's just so nice and sleek. The phone design on top is slightly risen, so it's very Apple. It looks very sophisticated and it looks really nice. As you can tell by the colour of the box, I decided to go for the space grey model this time. For the 6s Plus, I got it in rose gold. This is when the rose gold colour first kind of launched. In the 8 Plus, they didn't necessarily have a rose gold option, but the gold itself was like a blush gold, so it was kind of like gold, but it had pink reflexes and stuff. It looked very pretty, and if I didn't go for black, that would have been the colour I would have gone for, but I decided to go for black because I just feel like it looks kind of really sleek. And because this one is white on the front, the gold and the silver ones were both white on the front, and so I decided to go for black just to make them slightly different to one another, because I always feel like I need to change something about the phone to make it feel like I've actually upgraded. So this is basically the box that you get, very kind of typical Apple, and then you unbox it. Now, if you didn't know, Apple basically do the fact that the boxes open so slowly on purpose, and it's to build climax to actually get into the phone. That's not something I knew before. I just thought it was because it was a box and it was kind of suctioned and stuff, but it is a conscious decision by Apple. That's something that we learned by an Apple representative when I worked in a phone shop, and that's because it kind of creates a bit of a climax to get in the phone. Silly, I know, but just a little fun fact in case you didn't know. So when you actually open the phone, you get a little booklet here that says designed by Apple in California, and inside you get a SIM pin, which is very handy. I always lose mine, and when I used to work in a phone shop, I used to find it was so fiddly, working with nano SIMs, that I couldn't ever get my nails done. But thank goodness I have moved on, because now I can, and become a typical first world problem. So you also get in here a welcome to iPhone sheet, which is kind of slightly new. They didn't have that in the 6s. You've got a bit of a I don't know, just info, I guess, about the battery, hearing aid compatibility, all things like that. It's kind of the safety bits they have to include. And you get 2 Apple stickers. Now, I don't really know what I'm going to use Apple stickers for, if ever anyone actually uses them. I'm pretty sure I got some with my Mac as well. Don't think I'll ever stick an Apple sticker on anything, but I guess it's quite nice that you have it in there anyway. And I'll just put those back in so I know where they are. And then you get into the phone. Now, I've actually taken my phone out already because I got a case and I got a screen protector. So I kind of wanted to put them on before I handled the phone, because I'm so stupid that it would be me to get the phone out, drop it and break it. That is literally just me in a nutshell. So I've already put a case on the back, and I've put a glass screen protector on the front. Now, when I worked in a phone shop, I would always recommend a glass screen protector to everyone, regardless of the phone. I've got my one, and I wouldn't have used my phone until I had one on, because it just provides such good protection. I don't really know what we did before glass screen protectors. Not only that, they're not fiddly at all, and they're really easy to put on. And I also got a marble designed case for the phone. I actually really love this. I feel like it really adds to the sophistication of the phone. It's kind of I love a marble design anyway, but something about this just makes it look really sleek. So I got the 2 from eBay. Glass screen protectors just came in a box like this. I think I got 2 for £3 something. There's so many good quality ones for so little because people are competing with the big guys that make them, so I don't really see there being a big difference in terms of the more you pay for a glass screen protector. I'm sure that people will have an opinion about that, but for me this kind of one does absolutely fine, and then if I like lightly scratch it or if I dent it at all, then I know I can just replace it and it doesn't cost the earth. And the case that I got was, again, only like a couple of pounds. I think it was like a £5 from eBay. I wanted something very kind of like minimalist like this, so that does me really, really well. I've also set up the phone, so I've got like things coming through, and my SIM card is in there at the moment too, so it's kind of all ready to go. And I've had a mild play around with it, but I haven't used the phone until today because the phone case and the screen protector literally arrived today, so I put them on and I thought that I would film this video. In the box, I haven't even taken these ones out, so you get a pair of earphones. These aren't the AirPods, which is actually a little bit disappointing, especially considering the price of the phone. You'd kind of expect to get them in the box, but what can you do? This is obviously, it connects through a lightning port because the iPhone 8 Plus doesn't have a 3.5mm jack, so it is kind of goes through where it charges. So the earphones do have that end, but actually really handfully, Apple have provided a lightning cable to 3.5mm adapter, so you can have your normal headphones if you use them regularly, and it just provides that kind of like bridge in between. So it's quite nice that they've provided that for you. I know that that's something that I'll probably find useful because I have earphones at work that I often use, but I obviously also have Bluetooth ones which will work absolutely fine with the phone. This does mean that if you have your earphones in and you want to charge your phone, you can't because there is only one socket, but they've done this to minimize the kind of width of the phone. So I can see where they're coming from and I'm not mad about that decision. So we've got earphones. Like I say, I really wish they were AirPods, but what can you do? You've also got a kind of Apple plug, which I think I have like a million of these, but it's really good to have like a new one and a genuine one as well, because I feel like I've bought so many like cheap versions of the cables. It's so good to actually have something authentic, and you obviously get the small cable in there. What's interesting as well though is that the iPhone 8 Plus does support fast charging, but that plug isn't a fast charging plug, which is a little bit annoying too. I feel like if it's a benefit of the phone, surely they'd provide it, but then it also supports wireless charging and you don't get anything like that in the box. So I guess Apple are just doing it to prevent it costing too much, which I don't know. Think of it as you do. I guess you get everything to get started. I know I'm definitely going to invest in a fast charger because I feel like that does really make a world of difference, especially if you're trying to increase the battery life at work or really quickly. It claims that with fast charging you can have up to 50% battery life in a half an hour charge, which is pretty impressive and something that I will definitely get use out of. So in terms of the actual design of the phone, obviously I have it in a different colour. I have it in the black, whereas before I had it in the rose gold / kind of like white at the front. So for me that is obviously different, but in terms of the actual design of the phone, they are the same. I know a lot of people have a lot of opinions about that, and they're often quite negative because people are saying that with the 6 Plus, that's when this kind of design first got released, and they haven't upgraded it for the 8 Plus. But there is the option to get the iPhone X if you do want something slightly different. For me, I love a big fat phone, and with this, obviously the iPhone X is borderless, so it actually feels a lot smaller in your hand because you don't have like the border around your phone. Now, I actually went into a shop to kind of see what the two are like, and I actually preferred the 8 Plus to the X because I felt like the X was just too small, and I love like a big fat phone. I would have an iPad as a phone if I could, because I love something that's really big in my hand. So that's why I went with the 8 Plus and not the X. I know the X has loads of additional features, but in terms of design and the way it looks, I actually really like this. And like I said, I did order it in the black to make it different to what I have already. When I don't have a case on this, I actually felt like the 8 Plus was slightly heavier to the 6S. Now, that may just be me, but for some reason I felt like it was slightly heavier, and that may be due to the fact that it's got like better internal things, it's got a bigger battery, all things like that. Again, like I said, I'm not really that mad about it. I don't really mind about a bit of a hefty phone. But in terms of design, it does look very familiar. And I'm sure that if you have the iPhone 7 Plus, you're probably not seeing the appeal in actually upgrading to this because it looks very similar. And I think generally the way that it is very similar as well. Because I upgraded from the 6S Plus, I'm seeing a different camera. The 8 Plus has a dual camera, which means I get portrait mode, which I'm actually really excited for. I was gutted when the 7 Plus had portrait mode and my 6S Plus didn't, because I was so jealous because it almost really stepped up the Apple camera quality. The camera on the 8 Plus is much better than my 6S Plus, but not all that different to the 7 Plus, which is again something to consider if you're looking to upgrade it after having the 7 for a year. But for me, I rode out my 2-year contract and this just seemed like the natural progression for me because I love Apple products, and you know, my 6S Plus, there was nothing really wrong with it, but I was ready for a bit of a change. So I actually ordered my 8 Plus directly from Apple, and I've done the Apple finance scheme. So I pay off the phone individually per month, but it means that I don't have to pay for a SIM card. And that's because I obviously mentioned before that I worked in a phone shop, so I get a really good rate on my SIM card deal. So I didn't really want to get rid of that really cheap like discount because it's really, really good and I really don't want to get rid of it. So I've just put my old SIM into this phone, and I'm really, really pleased that it kind of just worked very, very swiftly. When I updated the phone, I backed up my old one on iTunes and then I plugged it into the 8 Plus, and it did take a little while to actually put everything over. I'm not sure whether that's because I have so much stuff on my phone. Both models are the 64GB ones, and I think I've still got about 20 gig memory left, which is absolutely fine for me. I'm not going to exceed 64 gigs, so it was either 64 or 256 or something, so I knew I didn't want 256 worth of memory because I will never ever feel that. As much as I'd probably try to, I'd never feel that. So I went with the 64, which is really good that Apple have introduced the 64 gig as their baseline, but it does miss their 128 gig model. I feel like they need that as a bit of a benchmark because 64 may be too small for some people, but 256 may be far too large. So I feel like they need to introduce that kind of happy medium, but for me the 64 gig was absolutely fine. The phone itself is £799, which is quite expensive considering the fact it's pretty much already outdated with the iPhone X. Like I said, I feel like it is hugely down to preference. The iPhone X obviously is kind of like newer, more shinier, has like a better screen quality, has the like an emoji thing, lots of cool stuff that it's really introduced it, and obviously Face ID as well. But for me, I just really liked the classic design of the 8 Plus, and that's why I kind of really decided to stick with it. And there's not really much else to say about it. The X looked really cool, and by all means I think if you have it you will literally love it because it's so different for Apple and it's something really kind of like new and unique. But for me, I love this one, so I'm really happy that I've gone with it. I've obviously like set it up already, so I've got a bit of a home screen and I've got all of my apps and stuff. I find it really weird that the home button isn't actually a button. With the 6S, like you can actually press it down, but with the 8 Plus it's kind of like pressured, which I actually really like. It feels like it's just part of the screen instead of an actual button. But it does, like when I'm actually in the phone, it feels very familiar and it feels just really easy. To transition from one to the other was just like literally so easy. I feel like I'm often using like the same phone to look at. Obviously I have different wallpapers and stuff, but they are very, very similar. I have everything that I had on this one, and then I can kind of go through and choose what I want to keep and what I don't. But really, really fluid, and I feel like Apple have made it really easy to transfer everything over. When I was setting up the 8 Plus, there was actually an option to simply put my 6S Plus like on top of it, and it would transfer things because that's a new feature of iOS 11. iOS 11 is already uploaded onto this phone. I did still have to update it to a newer version of iOS 11, and despite iOS 11 being a little bit buggy in its start, I know I had a few minor problems with it being on my 6S, and obviously Apple have come out with the fact that they do begin to slow down older phones, and I feel like I did begin to notice this with the 6S. It's quite nice to have the same operating system on a newer phone and just see how smooth and how fluid it runs. This obviously has a much better processor and RAM, so everything I was doing on my old phone, I just noticed that I'm doing much quicker and, you know, much more seamless on my 8 Plus. So yeah, that's pretty much my kind of like first thoughts and opinions on the phone. I'm really excited to be able to wireless charge it and to use fast charging too. And I'm just really really excited to begin using it. Like I said, I've only put the case and screen protector on it today, so today is my first day of actually using it, and I kind of just want to dive in and take loads and loads of photos on the camera. Yeah, that's pretty much it. I'm really happy that I've chose to go for the 8 Plus. I know quite a lot of people that are debating whether to get the 8 Plus or the X. In my opinion, the 8 Plus was the one that I wanted to go for, and there are quite a lot of differences between the two, but I would definitely advise to go in and actually see what the X looks like, because for me it didn't look how I expected it to look, and I guess that's probably something to note. Some people probably think that I'm being absolutely daft and thinking a little bit too much into it, but from working in a phone shop and having that kind of experience using phones all the time, knowing what's coming out, the features and stuff, this one just really appealed to me more than the X, and that might be surprising to some people, but I'm really pleased that I've gone with it. I actually love how the black looks. I don't know why I haven't gone for the black version before. Kind of over the rose gold, this is such a pink gold too. It's not really me. I really wish this was more of a coppery colour, then I probably would be more into it, but being kind of pink, I don't really have much of an interest in pink things anymore. I love the black and I love this case so much. So yeah, without rambling too much more, that's my kind of initial first impressions of the iPhone 8 Plus. Really love it, and I can't wait to get started and using it literally every single day. So give this video a thumbs up if you've enjoyed it, and let me know below if you're thinking of getting the 8 Plus or if you've got a totally different phone and you have an opinion or whatever. I read every single comment and I will respond to you, so if you have any questions or anything like that, leave them down below and I will reply to you. But other than that, I will see you guys in my next video. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you guys really soon. Bye guys!